Looking back, there is something almost cosmic in the way the most trivial objects weave themselves into the tapestry of fate. That innocent gift bag, with its glossy tissue paper and delicately embossed logo, was never meant to become a symbol, a living prophecy of the dark and imminent times ahead. Yet, as I retrace those final days of January 2020, I realize it was no mere bag. It was a time capsule, a miniature Pandora's box, cradling an unwitting preparation for a world about to unravel. The conference at the David Intercontinental Hotel was like a final snapshot of an old world, a world where the word pandemic still echoed faintly from the pages of history books. The atmosphere was drenched in the scents of rich black coffee, subtle perfume, and freshly printed paper, aromas of prosperity and collaboration. The halls, illuminated by elegant chandeliers, buzzed with life. Scientists in polished shoes, industry leaders in tailored suits, all moving in a seamless flow of conversation, laughter, and pats on the back. I recall the sensation of countless hands touching mine, dry or damp, warm or cool, each carrying a story of travel, hope, and the pursuit of innovation. I could not have imagined then that every touch might soon transform into a pathway for something invisible and menacing. When my friend from Waters, with her warm and familiar smile, handed me their gift bag, I didn't give it much thought. It was one of those routine tokens you receive at conferences, an item destined to be tossed into a drawer and forgotten. The tiny bottles inside struck me as almost comical, small plastic vessels, no larger than a child's palm, filled with a transparent gel that seemed more suited to operating rooms than my everyday life. Good for the grandkids, I muttered to myself, picturing them playing with the clever little loops or squeezing out the contents in childish curiosity. It never crossed my mind that they would soon become tools of survival. But something within me, perhaps a buried scientific instinct, perhaps an unnamed gut feeling, urged me to clip one of them to my bag. It hung there, light as a feather, swaying like a cheap jewel, yet undeniably present. Throughout the conference, amid lectures and panels, between discussions on nanotechnology and dialogues about method development, I found myself drawn to it. My hands, already weary from handshakes and embraces, reached for the bottle almost unconsciously. A gentle squeeze, a cool drop of gel, and then the familiar motion of rubbing, a moment of cleanliness, of control, of a tiny break from the whirlwind around me. The Israeli winter of the year 2020, with its relentless rain and biting winds, had already put my respiratory system to the test. That little bottle, I thought, was just another small layer of protection, like an umbrella shielding me from a light drizzle. When the conference concluded, I left the luxurious hotel with a sense of accomplishment and completeness. The little gift bag settled onto my desk, a peripheral object amid stacks of papers and notebooks filled with scribbled notes. But then came that text message, short, sharp words, like a distant alarm. Have you heard about the new virus in China? My colleague, his digital voice trembling across the sea, sent me links to articles. I sat before the screen, my eyes racing over the words, coronavirus, rapid spread, lockdown. The first images from Wuhan, empty streets, white masks, panicked eyes, looked like scenes from a science fiction film. But the recommendation that stood out above all was simple and familiar. Disinfect your hands frequently. It felt as though someone had turned a key in my mind, and everything clicked. The bag, the bottles, the gel. They weren't just a gift. They were a lifeline sent to me before I even knew I'd need one. With hands that barely obeyed me, I opened the bag again, as if uncovering an archaeological treasure. The bottles emerged one by one, transforming instantly into tiny soldiers in a battle I didn't yet know I'd have to fight. I placed them like silent guardians, one by the door, two in the kitchen, a third on the nightstand by my bed. And then, as if I were a good witch distributing charms, I called my children and invited them to take their share. Not a gift, but a covert weapon. That night, as the television glowed and the words "coronavirus" were uttered for the first time in a grave tone by the news anchor, I felt the air in the room shift. It grew heavier, denser, as if the molecules themselves knew something was approaching. The little bottle still dangling from my bag suddenly seemed like a tiny lighthouse, a point of light in a sea of uncertainty. Who could have believed that such a small, mundane object would become a symbol of hope, resilience, and survival? In the weeks that followed, as the world began to shut down and store shelves emptied, those bottles became more than just gel. They were a reminder that sometimes, in ways beyond our control, the universe sends us what we need, not when we ask for it, but when we're still blind to the necessity. And so, as the world trembled and fell silent, I held my little guardians close, ready to face the unknown.